Answers, providing scripturally based answers for life's questions.
One of the things about suicide is that there is no way to interview a person that has committed such an act. We cannot ask them if they regret it or what they went through during such a process. What we can do is examine the lives of those before they go to such a point in their lives. In other words, what led them in that direction? Here are some things to consider for those who are contemplating suicide. Anyone that is not in that situation and cares for people will want to do all he could to prevent such a horrible act. But more than that, God has hope and is willing to extend it to those who are willing to turn to Him. Things to consider. The intention, what one seeks to accomplish with it. Why would a person commit suicide? It would not be the same for all people, but one thing is for sure. They are going through such an intense hurt, depression, disappointment, shame, guilt, pressure, that they are convinced that suicide will provide relief. The truth is, it will not. It will just eliminate all hope. Once the act of suicide has been committed, there is no turning back. There is no reconsideration. There is no hope. There is no forgiveness. There is no relief. Death is not an escape from unbearable pressure. It is only the full intensity of them without the option to escape. It is actually the pains of death that bring about such desires. The radiating attitudes and hurtful feelings like depression, guilt, shame, etc. come from death. That is their destination. That is where they come from, not their escape. To commit suicide is going in the direction of the evil experiences, not away from them. Death has no relief. It is the cause. Jesus is the hope. He came to deliver us from such destiny. Hebrews 9:27 says, "And just as it is appointed for man to die once, and after that comes judgment, so Christ, having been offered once to bear the sins of many, will appear a second time, not to deal with sin, but to save those who are eagerly waiting for Him." The motivating reasons. What brings a person to such a point? What are some motivational causes for people to consider suicide? Pride. There's the story of Saul in the Bible. He started as a humble person, but got proud and was always concerned that the people would hold him in high regard. He was fighting a battle and his army was losing the fight. They came after him and injured him to the point where he could not continue. And instead of allowing the enemy to kill him, he took his own life. He was too proud to face reality, to face his situation. Pride drove him to take his own life. This is a driving motivation for many that consider suicide. They are too proud to face life and what they have to face in it, and therefore commit suicide. Shame. There are many people that have done something that they are too ashamed to confess. Often a horrible sin or something they do not feel others would forgive them for. Fear. Fear is something that seems very powerful, yet has no power of its own. When fear is faced head on, it vanishes. It is only a mindset or an evil spirit. When people are captured by fear, it paralyzes them. And once a person is paralyzed, he will act opposite to what he should do. For an example, a person that is fearful of heights will jump instead of removing himself from the situation. The person gives into the fear instead of resisting it. That is what fear does. The fear of death can cause a person to commit suicide. It can also be the fear of other things, like what one has to face if one continues living. If you have fear, please seek help. Do not give in to your fear. Selfishness. There is nothing more selfish than suicide. A person does not do that for others, to help others, even when that is used for the excuse. Once a person is so focused on himself that he considers no others, he will then consider the option of suicide, the ultimate selfish act. Spirit possession. There's the story of Judas in the Bible. He was resentful of Jesus, and in his consideration to betray him, an evil spirit entered into him. He did betray Jesus and then felt so guilty that he ended up taking his own life. It started with resentment, then the spirit possession, and then suicide. Considerations. What one must take into account before such an act. When a person is considering suicide, he is completely focused on himself, not considering those close to him or those that would be hurt by such an act. We are not in this world to live for ourselves. We're here for others. And that is something we must do on purpose. If you're considering suicide, do not feel guilty or fear and thereby give into it. But consider those who would be hurt by such an act. Family, friends, neighbors, co-workers, those you could help that are facing the same things. Consider them. The solution. What can help one from considering such an act? The hope for all mankind for every situation is Jesus Christ. He gives life, but also the joy and ability to live that life. Colossians 1:27 says, Christ in you, the hope of glory. Do not let death destroy you. Receive the Lord Jesus and receive hope. I was preaching at an anniversary service in the church in the Philippines some years ago. I would usually go to the Philippines the same time of the year every year. So I ended up preaching in the same church the next anniversary again. And a man came to me and thanked me for the service. Then he said, not this year, but last year's service. I don't remember what I preached, but he said that in the message, while illustrating something I had said, once you are done, God is ready to begin. He said that he had fully considered suicide, but a friend had asked him to attend that one service, and he had done so. And that phrase had convinced him to give God a chance. He said that now he had a good life, enjoying his family and church, and knowing God personally. If you are done, would you give God a chance? Jesus has some great promises for you. Matthew 11:28-30. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. John 6:37. All that the Father gives me will come to me, and whoever comes to me, I will never cast out. John 5:25-26. Truly, truly, I say to you, an hour is coming and is now here, when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who hear will live. For as the Father has life in himself, so he has granted the Son also to have life in himself. If this has crossed your mind, if this is something you consider suicide, turn to the Lord. When you're done, God is ready to begin. If you have any more questions about anything concerning the faith and concerning life, please contact us, send us a message, and we will respond to you. May the Lord help you and bless you.